For nearly a year, I woke up every single night at exactly 2:47 in the morning. Every time, without fail, I found my wife standing beside her daughter's bed, staring down at her while she slept. The first time I noticed, I asked her about it. She dismissed me, claiming I was dreaming. So I stopped asking and started watching. Night after night, the same pattern, the same specific time, the same silent, unnerving stare. Until one night, I didn't just watch, I listened. And what I heard her whisper to our sleeping daughter made my blood turn to ice. What happened next changed the trajectory of our lives forever. Before I tell you what happened next, I'm grateful you're here listening to this channel. Drop a comment below. Where are you watching from and what time is it where you are right now? I want to know who is out there hearing this warning. My name is David Harper. I'm 47 years old. I live in Hartselle, Alabama. I'm a farmer, or at least I was. These days, I work at an agricultural supply store in town, but the soil is in my blood. I married Elena in 2005. Our daughter Chloe was born in 2007. We weren't wealthy people. We had a modest farm, grew what we could, and kept a vegetable garden. Elena stayed home with Chloe while I worked the land. We went to church on Sundays, said grace before meals, and helped our neighbors. It was a simple life, an honest life. I thought we were happy. I thought we had a foundation of rock. I was wrong. It was built on sand. 1 year ago, something happened that nearly incinerated my family. For months, I couldn't understand what was going on. I'd wake up in the dead of night with a sick, twisting feeling in my gut that something was terribly wrong. I thought maybe Elena was ill, or maybe I was losing my mind. Maybe the financial stress was making me see things that weren't there. Then one night, March 16th, 2024, I discovered the truth, and I had to make a choice. The hardest choice of my life. My marriage or my daughter's existence. I chose my daughter. I'd choose her 1,000 times over. But that choice changed everything. It changed who I was, and it changed what I understood about the people you love and the darkness they are capable of harboring. This is that story. I'm telling it because I want other parents to know, trust your instincts. If something feels off, it probably is. Don't ignore the signs. Protect your children. No matter what it costs, no matter who you have to stand up against, your children are worth it. They are worth the world. I need to take you back to before everything crumbled, because if I don't tell you about the life we had, you won't understand how completely it all came crashing down. It started so small. A phone call Elena wouldn't answer in front of me. $20 missing from the emergency cash jar. Her coming home late smelling like peppermint and stale smoke, though she didn't smoke. I told myself I was being paranoid, that I should trust my wife, that after all those years together I knew her heart. But I didn't know her, not really. When Elena was tested, when she had to choose between what is righteous and what is easy, she failed. She failed me. She failed Chloe. She failed everything a mother is supposed to represent. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me start at the beginning. Let me tell you about the years before the shadows crept in, because those years, those memories, they are what I hold on to now. They remind me that it wasn't always like this, that there was a time when we were a unit, when we were happy, or at least when I believed we were. By 2023, Elena and I had been married for 18 years. Our marriage wasn't a fairy tale, what marriage is, but it was solid, steady. We worked our 20 acres together, cotton in the south fields, corn in the north. We ate what we grew, wore our clothes until the threads gave out, and fixed things with wire and duct tape instead of replacing them. That's how you survive on a small farm. You make do. Elena kept the house, cooked our meals, and canned vegetables for winter. She seemed content with that life, or at least I thought she did. Looking back now, I wonder how much of it was a performance, how much was just her playing a role, waiting for an exit. But Chloe, God, my Chloe, she was sharp as a tack, straight A's all through school, and not just book smart either. She had this intuition, a way of seeing people, understanding them, knowing what they needed before they did. That's why she wanted to be a social worker. She said she wanted to help folks who couldn't help themselves, protect kids who didn't have a shield. The day that acceptance letter came from the University of Alabama, I about cried. full academic scholarship. They were paying for everything: books, room, board, tuition, the works. She was the first person in my family to go to college, first person in Alina's family, too. We were so proud. Chloe would sit with me on the porch after dinner, watching the fireflies, telling me about her plans, how she wanted to work with families in crisis. I'd listen to her talk, watch her eyes light up, and think, this girl is going to change the world. I remember one specific evening, we were fixing the fence near the creek, mud on our boots, sweat on our brows. She looked at me and said, "Dad, I want to be like you. I want to work hard for something that matters." That moment is burned into my memory. I told her, "Baby, you can be anything you want to be. I'll make sure of it." And I meant it. I'd work myself into the grave to give her that future. In January of 2023, Elena started to change. She started pulling away, constructing walls, keeping secrets. It started with small things, things I told myself were insignificant. I was a fool. I wanted to believe everything was fine. In January, Elena started going to town more often. She'd say she needed to pick up a few things. Then she'd be gone for 3 or 4 hours just to run simple errands. Sometimes she'd say she was meeting her friend Sarah for coffee, but she wouldn't come home until dusk. I didn't think anything of it. I trusted her. February and March, things got stranger. Elena started guarding her phone like it was a nuclear launch code. She'd take it into the bathroom with her, keep it face down on the table. When it rang, she'd silence it and say, "Spam call." She never answered it in front of me. Not once. She started pulling away physically, too. Less conversation, more distance between us on the couch, like we were strangers sharing a lease instead of husband and wife. April, I noticed the money. Cash kept evaporating from Elena's wallet, from the grocery envelope we kept in the kitchen drawer. I asked her about it. "Honey, where'd the grocery money go?" She got defensive, sharp as a razor. "I bought some personal things, David. Don't interrogate me." I just stood there, stunned. She'd never spoken to me with that kind of venom before. May was when I knew, really knew something was rotting at the core of our life. I woke up one night around 2 a.m., reached over, and Elena wasn't there. Her side of the bed was cold. I got up, looked out the window. Her car was gone. I sat in the kitchen waiting, trying not to think the worst. She came home at 2:30. When she walked in, I was sitting at the table on the dark. She jumped. "David, you scared me." "Where were you?" I asked. Her hand went to her hair. It was messy. Her makeup was smudged. "I was at Sarah's. She's going through a hard time, David. She needed me." Her voice was calm. Too calm. Rehearsed. Then came July 15th, 2023. The night the mystery began. The night 247 became the number that would haunt me. I woke up jolted by an unseen alarm. Elena wasn't there. I looked at the clock. 2:47. I crept into the hallway. It was dark, but moonlight filtered through the window, and I saw her. Elena was standing in front of Chloe's bedroom door. The door was cracked open just a few inches. Elena was standing there completely rigid, staring into our daughter's room. I froze. Was she sleepwalking? But she looked alert, purposeful. She stood there for 10 minutes, just staring. Then she turned and walked back. I hid in the bathroom, terrified. The next night, I set an alarm, 2:45. At 2:47, she got up. Same ritual, same spot, same stare. I counted 100 nights of this. I was losing my mind. I was losing weight, shaking from exhaustion. My neighbor, Arthur Bennett, asked if I was dying. I felt like I was. But while I was watching Elena, Chloe was fighting her own battle. In December, Chloe found Elena's phone unlocked. She saw the messages. Messages from a man named Jason Reed. "Missing you. Can't wait to hold you." Pictures, selfies, dates. Chloe's heart shattered. She realized her mother was having an affair, but she made a heartbreaking decision. She decided not to tell me. She thought it would destroy me. So my 16-year-old daughter carried the burden of her mother's sins alone. Chloe started falling apart. She stopped eating. She lost 15 pounds. She had nightmares that made her scream in the night. She pulled away from her mother completely, but clung to me like a lifeline. "I love you, Dad," she'd say, 5 times a day. I didn't know why. I didn't know she was trying to protect me. By March 2024, I couldn't take it anymore. On March 15th, 2024, exactly 8 months since that first night, I woke up with absolute resolute. Tonight, I was going to find out the truth. I couldn't live in this fog anymore. At 2:47 a.m., Elena sat up. I feigned sleep. She slipped out of bed. I counted to 10, then followed. The floorboards were cold under my feet. I moved like a phantom into the hallway. There she was, standing at Chloe's door. But this time I didn't hang back in the shadows. I moved closer, silent. I needed to hear. Elena began to speak, a whisper that cut through the silence like a knife. "Chloe, sweetheart, I'm so sorry." My heart clenched. "I'm so sorry for everything I've done. I know you don't understand why I've been so distant. The truth is, I've been with someone else. His name is Jason. Jason Reed." The world tilted on its axis. An affair? My wife? "I met him at the hardware store," she whispered, tears in her voice. "He made me feel young. But it's worse than the affair, Chloe. So much worse. Jason, he introduced me to online gambling. I thought it was fun, easy money. But I lost. I kept losing. And I kept thinking, just one more game." I held my breath, tears streaming down my face. 80,000, Chloe," she sobbed. 80,000. That's money we don't have. Money I borrowed from dangerous people. Jason knew them. I gambled away the family savings. Your father doesn't know. He thinks the money is safe." I slid down the wall, burying my face in my hands. Ruin. Absolute financial ruin. But then she said, "There's more. And this is the worst part." I braced myself. How could it be worse? "The people I owe, they wanted their money. They threatened us. Jason said there was a way out, a way to wipe the debt clean. He knows a man, a wealthy man, Sterling Montgomery. He's 52. He wants a wife, a young wife." My blood stopped moving.
We signed a contract, Chloe, last July. Sterling paid half the debt, $40,000, as a down payment. The deal is, when you turn 18 this June, you are to marry him. The rest of the debt will be forgiven. I sold you, baby. I sold my daughter to save myself. I didn't scream. I didn't faint. I died. The man I was died in that hallway, and something else was born. A father with nothing left to lose. I heard Chloe sobbing inside the room. I waited for Elena to leave. As soon as she went back to our room, I went to Chloe. I pushed the door open. She was rocking on her bed, broken. "Dad?" she whispered. "I heard everything," I said, my voice steady. "Mom's going to make me marry him, that old man." I dropped to my knees and grabbed her hands. "No, that is never happening. Do you hear me? Never." "But she signed papers." "I don't care what she signed. You are my daughter. I will burn the world down before I let them touch you." We sat there until dawn, plotting our escape. I told her to pack, just the essentials. "We are leaving, today." "Where will we go?" she asked, trembling. "Arthur Bennett's house. He has a shotgun and a good heart. He'll keep you safe while I handle this." At 7 a.m., I drove Chloe to Arthur's. He took one look at her face and nodded. "She's safe here, David." I drove back to the farmhouse. Elena was in the kitchen, making coffee, humming, as if she hadn't sold our child. "Good morning, honey," she said. I looked at her. I know everything. She froze. What? Jason, the gambling, the $80,000, Sterling Montgomery, the contract. The cup slipped from her hand and shattered. David, I can explain. Explain? My voice was a low growl. Explain selling our 16-year-old daughter to a 52-year-old predator? Which part exactly explains that? I didn't have a choice. They were going to hurt us. You had 1,000 choices. You chose to be a coward. You chose to sacrifice your child. Sterling is a respected man. She'd be taken care of. I flipped the kitchen table. Plates, coffee, toast went flying. She has a scholarship. She has dreams. And you traded her like livestock to cover your gambling debts? David, please. I want a divorce. I want full custody. And you are going to tell your boyfriend and your buyer that the deal is dead. Sterling won't let you. He'll destroy you. Let him try, I said. I'm not afraid of him, and I'm certainly not afraid of you anymore. I walked out. I went straight to the sheriff's office. Sheriff Paul Garrett listened to me, his face growing darker by the minute. This is human trafficking, David, he said, or conspiracy to commit it. The contract is void. She was a minor. You can't sign away a child. Can you protect her? I'll put a deputy at Arthur's house 24/7, and I'm going to pay a visit to Mr. Montgomery. With the law on my side, I had 2 stops to make. First, Jason Reed at the auto dealership. I walked into his office. He smiled. Can I help you? I'm David Harper, Chloe's father. The smile vanished. I know about the affair, the gambling, and the deal with Montgomery. Look, that's a private matter. It's a felony, I interrupted. Sheriff Garrett knows everything. If you ever come near my family again, if you ever contact my wife, I will ensure you spend the next decade in a cell. He looked like he was going to be sick. Montgomery has already paid. That's between you and him. The girl is off limits. I left him shaking and drove to the Montgomery estate, a massive white mansion. I rang the bell. Sterling Montgomery answered, wearing a silk robe. Mr. Harper, I assume you're here to discuss the arrangement. I'm here to tell you it's over. I have a contract. You have a piece of paper signed by a desperate addict regarding a minor. It's illegal, it's void, and it's disgusting. I've paid $40,000. Go collect it from Elena. You will never see my daughter. He stepped closer, trying to intimidate me. I can ruin you. I sit on the board at the university. I can pull her scholarship. You do that, I said, stepping into his personal space, and I will go to every news station in the state. Wealthy donor tries to buy teen bride. How will that look for your reputation, Sterling? He turned pale. He knew I had him. Get off my property. Gladly. I drove away, feeling lighter than I had in years. The aftermath wasn't easy. Sheriff Garrett's investigation scared Montgomery off completely. The contract was destroyed. Jason Reed skipped town within a month, his reputation in tatters. I filed for divorce. Elena didn't contest it. She declared bankruptcy. The creditors settled for what they could get from her. They couldn't touch me. Or the farm because the debt wasn't in my name. But I sold the farm anyway. I paid off the mortgage and took the profit. I couldn't live in that house anymore. Too many ghosts. Chloe and I moved into a rental in town. She went to therapy. Slowly, the light came back into her eyes. The nightmares stopped. She graduated with honors. Now it is March 2027. Chloe is 20, a junior at the University of Alabama. She is thriving. She's studying social work, using her pain to fuel her passion to help others. We talk every week. On her 18th birthday, the day she was supposed to be handed over to Montgomery, we went out for pizza. She took my hand and said, "Thank you for saving me, Dad."
I looked at her, this strong, beautiful young woman. I'd burn the whole world down for you, Chloe. Always. People ask me if I regret not seeing the signs earlier. Of course I do. I was blind. I trusted too much. But I learned that love isn't just about providing. It's about vigilance. It's about fighting. To anyone listening to this channel, if you feel something is wrong in your home, don't wait. Don't wait for 2:47 a.m. Trust your gut. Fight for your children, because there are monsters out there disguised as friends and lovers, and it is our job to stand at the door and not let them in. Thank you for listening to my story on this channel.